press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from the Unique Academy.
Hello all. In this video lecture, we are going to discuss about essay paper conducted by UPSC in 2018. This year's essay paper was perceived as one of the difficult papers by many candidates. That's mainly because of section B, but even section A came as surprise for many candidates. Let's see why. Let's have a look at section A first. Let's look at the topics. First topic was alternative technologies for a climate change resilient India. Now in this topic, you had two things to unpack. One is alternative technologies and another is what is resilient. Now, alternative technologies is not just alternative to current technologies. It has an embedded meaning, which means environmental friendly technologies than the functionally equivalent technologies which are present currently. You need to know what it exactly means. If you generally talked about some alternative technologies, like let's say bring solar energy for currently electricity, that's not what it exactly means. Also, one needs to know what resilient means. If you went slightly off with the meaning, like if you wrote what adaptive is or if you wrote what mitigative is, that's not what resilient means. So there was something to unpack in this topic. Let's go to the second topic, which was a good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge. This is a quotation by Bertrand Russell. Here, you needed to know what are the ideas again. If you generally talked about love, generally talked about knowledge, you might not do justice to the topic. These are ideas specifically talked by philosophers. If you could gather some of the knowledge by, as they say, giants, it would have helped. Also, one needed to know why is it still are the ideas talked centuries after centuries. And put in some your own perspective, what kind of a person you are, how do you see it in this today and now. Now come to the third point, third topic, that is poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. This actually is a different quotation which says that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. This original quote is by Martin Luther King Jr., which they have slightly changed and made into a different quotation. Now this one would need to know something from GS2, knowing about polity, also something from GS3, knowing from economics, how poverty is measured, what are the different indices. And again, to talk about these topics, you need to have some idea about what is poverty in India and what is poverty all over the world. It's not easy to talk about these topics because you will slightly see now that these are not the topics where you can get away by writing simple descriptive or expository essays, but then these are the topics where they are asking you to take some ethical stance. These are not the topics where you can just say, okay, X is Y, so Y is Z. You need to say something more to it. You need to say, as a person who is a citizen of this India, who is an aspirant, who wants to get into bureaucracy, I have a stance, I have an opinion, and this is how I look at world. And this is how you start doing justice to given topics. Come to the last topic in this section, which is management of Indian border disputes, a complex task. Now, before we come to Indian border disputes, the topic here is border disputes, which in itself is a topic. One needs to know how are border disputes managed. It's a topic in diplomacy. Again, this needs thorough knowledge of international relations. One needs to know how are border disputes managed all over the world. To know something about India in specific, there are lots of events which are happening around us. There is Doklam, there is a dispute about with China for Arunachal Pradesh, there is disputes with Bangladesh. So if you knew enough information, one could write well. But then again, if you have a general look at these four topics, you would realize that compared to all previous years, these topics were not where you could put a lot of data in. Because many times the topics that are given in such sections are the topics where candidates can put in a lot of data, arguments can be driven out of data, one can put out justifications and conclude well. Now, out of these four topics, one was again quotation. So there are only three topics where one can put out data. But again, these are not data-driven topics. So section A was perceived as difficult section, mainly also because these are not data-driven topics. So one had to come out with strong justifications, strong perspectives, opinions which are of your own, to have substantial conclusions. This is what was the challenge for section A. Let's move on to section B. Section B was difficult because all 4 topics which were asked were quotations. Having said that, these were not the quotations that you would have come across in your life before. Even if you have come across these quotations sometimes, it is difficult to write 1000 or 1200 words on them. Now, these 4 quotations are the quotations where, like in section A, you had a lot to unpack. Let's have a look at these 4 quotations. First quotation was, customary morality cannot be a guide to modern life. Now here, this I would say was one of the easier topics, where customary morality, the general understanding is traditional morality, where you had to explore the ideas that is morality something which keeps changing? Do values change with time? Is something given by traditions, is age-old wisdom enough which will stand with modern life? And you had to explore these ideas with again something said by, let's say, philosophers, thinkers, and put your own perspective and write an essay. This I would still say was something which could have been written in section B. Moving on, topic 2 was, the past is a permanent dimension of human consciousness and values. Here again you go with very hardcore philosophical topics like human consciousness and values. These are not the topics where you could sort of go in with layman understanding of what consciousness is. Here one of the major downfalls of writing something spiritual, which many times philosophy is misunderstood with. Now this is not to say that spirituality and understanding of spirituality does not help, but when you're writing an essay for, let's say, UPSC, you need to put out your ideas very clearly. They need to have flow, they need to have arguments, and they need to have justifications along with them. So to say that how past is a permanent dimension was an idea to sort of unravel in this case. This was a quotation by Eric Hobsbawm. Again, this was not mentioned in the paper, but then this is a quotation by Eric Hobsbawm. Third topic was, a people that values its privileges above its principle loses both. This is a quotation by Eisenhower. And this topic I feel is, even though it's a quotation, even though again it dwells into a lot of philosophical ideas, had some connection with sociology. Even though remote, it had a connection, because privilege in that case is an idea which has some connection with sociology. Even if you see Rawls, he talks about privilege, and one could have talked about all these ideas in this essay. But the most difficult topic of this section was the 4th topic, that is, reality does not conform to the ideal but confirms it. And here there was a real challenge. This is a quotation by Gustave Flaubert, and the challenge was, what do we really understand when we say reality? Are we going to look at it as something that is around us, or are we going to talk about it from a very philosophical idea? And again, there is a wordplay here about what is conform and what is confirm, and how do we see it. And there's a 4th idea here, which is ideal. So you have 4 keywords to talk about, that is reality, ideal, conform, and confirm. This was section B. So section B, I would say, and as everyone is perceiving it, was a more difficult section to write. This was section A and section B of this year's essay topic. If you have any questions about how to approach essay paper in general, you can ask your questions in comment sections below, and we would surely answer them in next video. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned